humanity is miraculously escaped from Corona and we have bounced back. And when you look at this, isn't it the human spirit always? And when we bounce back, don't we see that there is so much that we have learned and we are putting it to work, and the workplaces have totally transformed now. There are new paradigms, a lot of good stuff is going on. So yes, this is the time to celebrate, and that's why I'm going to peek into the future and try to see what are the disruptive technologies we are bringing together as an industry, and also a little bit of thought from our R&D center, and let's see what you like here and share some ideas here. So now, if I move forward, well, of course, this is me, and I represent Stratbeans. We are a East Coast-based company. We are serving more than 1,15,000 customers globally, and these are actual customers, different continents, all of the continents actually. Now, what do we provide? Just briefly, if I tell you, content authoring technologies, you might have heard about Articulate 360, and then byte casting, a lot of bolt-on tools which can sit with your infrastructure already and actually make it a little better. So that's what we do. We have many delivery centers which are close to you in different cities. In India also, we have got 6 delivery centers. But going over to the main theme today, and let me see what we can discuss here. So firstly, tell me, do you agree that convergence is a force of nature? The way the mobile, the communities, the data is driving it together, and how it is shaping our, the whole cultural landscape. Isn't that something which is phenomenal? It is giving us a lot of new ways to work, and a lot of good things are happening only because of convergence. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it, because mostly the L&D space is pretty fragmented. You know what? There are roles that are sort of in a straight jacket. So either you're a content author, you are a subject matter expert, you are an L&D expert, or you are a strategy expert. Those things are really still across boundaries. So let's see what we can pull out today. But before that, let's see an older story. I guess all of us who are 40 years or something, we might have seen this story already. So first we had some mobile devices which are really having a torchlight as the best feature in it, isn't it? I mean, that's what it was. And then what happened? Multimedia filters came into being, image processors and stuff like that, very powerful processors for gaming and stuff like that. So what really happened with that? You'll say a lot of technology happened. No. The cultural change happened. Now this is the poster boy, isn't it? This is what is all over the place. If you go and you have to really start a useful discussion on any topic and you're searching it, any idea that you're searching, you'll probably find a lot of good stuff on YouTube, a lot of free source content, and this is the picture of the youth today, isn't it? I mean, they're creating content, they are spreading it out. The only thing that you need to know is either you have got something to say or you're funny enough, isn't it? I mean, that's all that is needed today. Now, what do we learn when we look at that for L&D? And I'm going to take a few pieces. I'm going to break it down into maybe 4 parts, and please help me here, because sometimes you have to say things out loud to see how silly it sounds. So let's just see whether you chime in with a little bit. So I'm going to talk about the future of content authoring, and I'm going to talk about competency management. These are the themes, isn't it? We are all talking about it sometime or the other. And content engineering is probably new. It is fresh from our R&D center, so I'm sure you'll probably like something about it. So if you like it, connect with me. My Insta handle is Sameer 100%. Would love to connect with you guys. Now, going over, let's just piece into content authoring. You know what is content authoring, but let's just see what could be the vision for the future if we had to really peek into the future, if you would. So while you saw there is a lot of content on YouTube, the only qualification needed is to be funny or knowledgeable, but within the organization, what do you see? Within the organization, mostly the content is created by vendors, or you have really purchased it, or maybe you have got some legacy content here and there, but the subject matter experts are not really that vocal. Or if they are, that's a great thing, but is it a norm? Perhaps not. So the first thing that content authoring or the future should do is that create knowledge influencers, if you would, just the way you have influencers outside. And the cost of content creation, it costs you a bomb really, isn't it? I mean, that should actually boil down to 0, because all of the content that is really going into YouTube, if you compare it with that, is practically free. And isn't it fair to guess that the guys who are creating content, they're really not trained into multimedia a lot, or they're not really expert into content storyboarding or thing. They just have a thought and they're able to express it. There's enough encouragement also in the society for that. However, you'll say that all is fine, but what's a new way to look at it? So I'm going to give you some real examples. I'm going to pick up some cases, and maybe I'm hoping you like it. So how many of you are aware of this content measurement, which is called L1, L2, L3, just by raise of hands? I'm sure most of you are. Okay, so you are. So that's a way to look at how interactive a content is. So let's just pack it here. We'll come back to that a little later. So this is an example I wanted to show you. This is from a very large apparel brand. And okay, so don't look at the slide first. Okay, so just listen to me. There's a backstory. So the backstory is like that this very large apparel brand, which is a market leader in US, we went to them and we said, hey guys, you've got a fantastic set of people. Can you do a thing and we can do it jointly? Just tell your folks. And that's where L1, L2, L3 is important when I asked you, sir. Now, the new measurement is R1, R2, R3. We said, okay, relevance-based content we'll create, but through your subject expert. So somebody is a finance expert, somebody is a manufacturing expert. Let's just ask the organization, everybody, can you raise your hands within the organization and say, I want to say something. I have some thoughts here. And then what we did, over a period of 6 months, of course, we gave the tools encouragement, a little bit of love also, that you know what, let's do it together. And what really happened is on these slides, now you will probably understand, and let me know if you like it. So what really happened is, just go to the middle box over here. 997 hours of content was created, no big deal. 200 guys were there, they were churning out content, everybody created something like 6 hours of content. That content was not measured on L1, L2, L3. That was really measured on R1, R2, R3. Is it relevant? Is it on a context? Is it teaching me within my organization how to sell, let's say, if I'm from a sales function, or what are the intricacies which apply to the finance of my organization? How do I do APAR a little better? Maybe how do I do quality better in my organization? And R3 is when it's a real gem and it is going to be used for performance support. So if I'm stuck up, rather than calling a person, if I can get that content, it is going to solve a problem for a worker. So that's how the content was created, 997 hours of that kind of relevant content. And no wonder, 18% amplification happened. So nobody had to drive down anybody and say, hey, you attend a classroom session, it's a part of your learning. If you don't do it, then there's an escalation. People actually went out and they amplified it by sharing it, just like it happens on YouTube. If you like something, you share it, isn't it? I mean, and then you say, hey, there's a mistake in here. I want to add something to it. So that kind of interaction, you could look at this story and say, you know what, this is a cultural change on steroids here. I mean, it's not about content engagement, it's something else. So you're building something at that level, so that's the point here. And 18%, that doesn't happen really. I mean, for the new content that you launch, you have to really encourage people and say, you know what, this is gamified, therefore you come and attend to it, or something like that. But anyways, there was also dollar saving, so 1.87 million worth of content it was. So I'm going to move on from content authoring. Okay, so let's see what else can we talk about. So content engineering. Now this is really my favorite. Oh, have I moved too many slides? Oh. Okay, we'll figure it out. What's going on? That's what happens when you're a technology company, technology enabled. So anyway, this is just a view into what kind of content authoring happens. Here is a coaching related content which was created. Challenge was thrown out and people responded with videos, and coaches looked at that content and they said, you know what, you look confident, but can you improve your narrative style a little bit? And then, you could import PPTs, and all of this can be created by people like you and me. We don't need training. So now I'll move on. And I promise you now I understand these teleprompters much better. So this time that mistake will not happen. So content on engineering. The content engineering, the concept is very simple. Many of you already understand that there are SCORM files there, isn't it? You know what is a SCORM file. I'm sure you do. Guys, just raise your hand if you, of course. So SCORM file is is a black box. You can't really unpack it. So once it is there, unless you have the source code, you can't change it. So you create something fancy today, tomorrow it's a little old. It starts aging from that day. Now, how about getting a pie chart view of your content, and why do you want it? You'll say, yeah, is it relevant to us? The moment you start getting that pie chart view, what you can see is how much is text, how much is audio, how much is images, videos. You'll say, big deal. What about it, really? So once you know this, then some things can happen. Just hold on a little bit. I'll show you an example, and then you will realize. But it's important to first see the content that way. Okay, so moving on, what could be the vision of content authoring? The vision of content authoring, the way it is in the society right now, and all of us are going to add to it as the time goes by, the bandwidth and cloud costs should come down to zero. And we are really launching a lot of mobile first kind of initiative in hybrid work environment. We're trying to reskill people. A lot of that is happening. But can that happen really? I'll show you how that happens. And then it should not be a black box. It should be, the content should be like a pie that you baked, and it was, let's say, a blueberry muffin, and now you can unpack it, make it a chocolate-based muffin now this time. So this is the kind of thing you should be able to do. And the default experience should always be mobile first. So let's show you an example. Now, okay. So the only interesting thing for you to look at it is that 3.1 million USD. This was created by a manufacturing organization, Philadelphia-based organization, 6 years back. So they invested a lot of money into creating very jazzy content. But what do you call a content which is 6 years old? You call it junk, because the content started aging the moment you make it. So they were very happy when they made it, $3.1 million, but now it was junk. So they went out in the market and they said, you know what, can we do something about it? Can we refresh it? The quotes were obscene, like $10 million and $12 million is what you need. What they really ended up spending, and I'm going to challenge you to think how this might have happened. They actually spent about 24,000 US dollars. Maybe that was a little bit of service they had, but a lot of content engineering technologies also. And what they were able to do was that they actually spawned out 2 new mobile-first programs, and I'm going to show you some slides from there, into the manufacturing setup only. And they could take the content from the older box and actually launch it into the more contemporary version of that. What that did for them was, and I'm going to show you on the next slide, but also look at that, they started saving 370K USD each quarter, actually, on the cloud cost. So they could actually compress it also a little bit and really do a lot of good things. But just a short view for you. So if that was a manufacturing content of some type, try to see what is on the background, a little bit of image. Now you peek through it through a mobile device, and now you can see a motor whirring on top of it. Pretty fancy example here, but the idea is that it was all very contemporary, and a lot of QR codes were pasted on it. Think about your organization now. You got LMSs filled with content. Is there a use case if you could make it a little more jazzy? Is there a use case if you have a QR code on top of anything, and now somebody is coming to this session and they could just point at it and throw some comments at it, maybe see some external relevant information about it, chime in on social media a little bit about. So you can really unpack the content a lot is all I'm trying to say. You can compress it a lot. If you're interested, maybe actually we launched it in April in Orlando, and it is actually available to all the community free of cost. So go and try out, see what you can do in your LMS. And this can bolt on to your LMS as well. You don't have to change anything. And the last bit here, and I've got 5 minutes left, so I'll try to be relevant, and this is going to stick everything together. Now, I was talking about convergence. So let's see how these pieces are flying in together. So let's just take an example. Everybody talks about competency management. My 2 cents on it. And let's see whether you agree with this a little bit, if you have comments. So we always should start with a vision. My thinking is that the vision for the industry should be that though we have competency maps available within the organization, all the organizations have it, but do you have it in real time? Can you really tell me from the time you moved into this conference to the time when you step out, what's the change in the competency level for your organization, like person by person? Now you'll say, is it relevant? The point is that when people are doing anything, they're picking up some information. If they are on a project, they are picking some information, and they're probably moving on competency channels also. So that's the reason why I'm saying it. But more importantly, when I go to the next slide, you'll see a real-time application, and then you'll say probably it's more relevant. Personalized learning path, we talk about it all the time. Netflix-like personalization, everybody getting the content that they really need, they enjoy, or they want to consume in the type, in the time, that kind of stuff. So that is the vision, but I see it as a two-vector problem. Let me go to the next slide and let's see whether we can see something. So if you are driving your spaceship in your organization, you are a L&D leader, you need a control panel like this, which should tell you that what is a competency map for your organization. And these are this is an example from some organization which found that some of these skills are probably important. So maybe blockchain, maybe machine learning, and you could have your version, and how it is changing. So that's the control panel for you. And what's up top there? So an example of one other competency area where you really want your organization to invest, your employees to go and learn about it. It's probably relevant in the industry today. So maybe somebody becoming a data analyst to a wrangler to data ops to data scientist, and that person could be a Python programmer, could be a salesperson. In the previous session, I saw that people who are in, people, all the organization try to do this, isn't it? I mean, you're trying to move people across and reskill them. But the question is this, it's a two-vector problem. So organization sets a vector like this. It says, you know what, everybody move in this direction. So that's one vector. The other vector is that maybe the employees see their CV moving in a certain way. Can you sort of join them together? Can you pull it together? So the technology has to do it. First component is you should know what's the real-time competency of your organization to the person level. Then all the Netflix-like features can come in. So this thing over here, the dashboard, is a recommendation to you, not only the content that you should consume, but also about the peers that you meet in the organization, and connect it with the content authoring we talked about. So imagine somebody can guide your hand and hold your hand into R1, R2, R3 metrics of some kind related to your process. You should be able to connect with that person, and the system should do it for you. Now, if that happens, everything will converge together, the reskilling will happen, and I've got 2 minutes left, I'll keep in time, so don't worry about it. But see this, the next slide is important, and this is a real case. So I'm pretty hopeful you like it, but there's nothing fantastic on this slide, but let's read it in the reverse order for a minute. So 112 minutes of extra learning hours happened for this organization, which is actually a very large organization in pharmaceuticals, on recommended content per person. Now, if I'm saying this is not a content where the vectors are undefined. So I didn't read a lot of content which was only relevant to me or only to my organization. I spent 112 minutes of a relevant learning. And that was probably created by my peers. And when I did that, internal hiring happened. So you really saved 1.88 million USD of hiring costs, because when you go out on any competency, try to pick up from market, there's a lot of challenge here right now. And isn't it better if your own employees get a chance to be rehired? And that way, it's a great win-win for both the sides. So that happened. And then 87% increased internal hiring happened. So it is relevant. So all of these dials have to move together is my message to you. And then finally, coming to the last slide here, it's a summary slide. So if you look at it, the offering that we have for you, you should look at it, enjoy it, is that all the key modules of LMS and LXP are already there. So user management, course building, learning path assessment, they happen. Content authoring happens at a next level where content influencers are created, dynamic content is created. Engineering happens, which means that you can look at the capability, content analysis, optimization, renewing, you can do all of that. And then performance support also. So you can actually have sales service enablement, ask expert, role play, all of that. Now, the fun thing is, guys, this one. So let's have someone today, there's $5,000 worth of good merchandise to be shared and games to be played. So meet these fantastic people, Vinod, Deepa, Ayushi, and samples some of the technologies there, maybe leave your comments. And of course, my Insta handle is Sameer100%. Let's connect on LinkedIn, etc., and take this dialogue further. So thank you, guys. Thank you, organizers. My time is up, so I guess thank you very much.
Well, a big round of applause, please, for Sameer. Thank you so much, Sameer. That was wonderful indeed. And I'm sure some of you do have questions for him. Due to paucity of time, we may not be able to take questions right now. We do request you to meet him at the Stratbeans kiosk, and he'll be happy to take questions. Is that okay, Sameer? Yes? They'll meet you at the kiosk at Stratbeans, and for any questions that you would like to ask Sameer.
I'll be actually stepping out right now. So if you want to take a quick question, I can do that while he's setting up the stage.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. Any quick question anybody's got, you just raise your hand and we'll bring the mic to you. All right, can we bring the mic here, please, to this wonderful lady here? Ma'am, please introduce yourself and you can ask your question. Thank you.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. Sir, regarding the SCORM question, actually, SCORM is generally not shared by the content creators. So much less getting it and changing it would be a secondary question. So what do you think is a solution towards this?
The SCORMs are not shared.
Generally, they are copyrighted. So
Yeah.
more or less, they are not shared as freely as required.
So you know what, I think this is a great question. This is also an ethics related question. The point is that if you have purchased that content and it is sitting into your LMS, it's actually your property many times. And I'm not talking about those content which you have really purchased on a license basis. Imagine you created some content sitting on LMS and you don't have the source file for it. And now you realize that you wanted to create a micro learning on that same content. Should you be able to pick a piece from there? Those are the situations I'm talking about. Should you be able to compress it and divide it in different ways and sort of now release it on mobile first kind of initiative is also I'm talking about. Then I'm saying, should we be able to plonk or staple a AR code or QR code on top of it? That's what I'm talking about. So of course, legal boundaries, that's not the area I'm trying to touch here, but I was assuming that you have the rights on the content. So the stage is set. Thanks a lot, guys. Great question. What's your name again?
Mathura, I'm from ABG.
Thanks a lot for asking that question. Thank you.